to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast with Borg, Betz, and a baller.
Welcome in. It's Wednesday, December 17th here. Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Borganoni, and I'm joined by Matthew Betz and Jason Moore.
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Doing well, man. Playoffs are here in fantasy leagues. I'm in most of mine still. I think I was in six primary leagues to start. Made it in 5, lost in 1. So I got 4 horsies. The 4 horsemen still racing. So we're feeling okay.
Love to hear it. Kyle?
I would say that this has been probably my best year in terms of having teams that are in it that I've been scoring a stupid amount of points. And when I look at my rosters, I go, okay, well, there's a couple of championships here because I had some buys in the Ballers main leagues, my main 2 home leagues. And I just know, like I was talking to my brother, he had 4 teams in the playoff. All 4 are now out. I'm like, I hate that is a possibility. Like, as you just assume, like, I'll get there in a couple of these. But yeah, semifinal week. And some of the biggest questions are players that I did not think I would be having any questions about. Like, Jonathan Taylor has led me this far in my leagues. Jason, I know he's on your league of record team. And yet, I did not think I would be asking this many questions of, can I get 15 points out of this player?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor is a running back 2 in fantasy, but a super duper safe running back 2 rest of season with Phillip Rivers. I mean, he's going to get you 13 or 14 points every week, and I'm totally fine with that. But when we, the people who had Jonathan Taylor, 6 weeks ago, he was who was getting us the championship. He's not getting anyone a championship. He can be on some championship rosters, but you better have someone else on that team that is going to bring that title there. Because really, when you win a championship, you got to have the guy that goes 35 on the week. You have to have 1 or 2 of those players that's going to do that. And Jonathan Taylor, he can't do that. Not with his schedule. Like even with Phillip Rivers, if he was playing, a really soft defense, he'd just rip off long one on his own. The rest of the schedule for Jonathan Taylor is like, it was kind of like we saw last week against the Seahawks. Really good defense. They know what's going on. They understand the situation, and they're going to say, I'm going to stop Jonathan Taylor. They couldn't do it perfectly, so he ended up with, 25 carries, 87 yards. So you got the 49ers, and then championship week, the Jacksonville Jaguars, really good run defense. So you just got to find other week-winning performances.
It's so wild that Jonathan Taylor is the guy that got you here, but the guy that's going to take you home this year, it's Kyle Pitts. I mean, as we all predicted. That's how we all predicted it in the fantasy playoffs. Hey, if you didn't have Pitts, sorry, man. What a wild game that was Thursday night. But yeah, like Pitts, Darren Waller with a huge ceiling performance, Michael Wilson, like, these guys that come out of nowhere. It's a good reminder to everyone throughout the year. The fantasy season is, 3 or 4 like chunks of the year that kind of add up over the course of the entire season. Man, remember the Germany game when Jonathan Taylor was ripping off huge run after huge run against the Falcons? If you had Jonathan Taylor, you're like, I will live forever. I am absolutely winning this year. And the NFL said, watch this. So the NFL is wild, man. It happens every year down the stretch. Crazy stuff happens. So we'll see what goes on the next 2 weeks.
And specifically for dynasty rosters, when we were doing the waiver wire rankings for this week, I noticed how many players were probably even unrostered in dynasty leagues. The Evan Hulls, Audric Estime. Like this week, I'm picking up Audric Estime in a home league to block my opponent, but also he might actually be an okay start. Like
absolutely,
it's wild to say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that what is his name? Jawar Jordan. I mean, he could be, if something turns out where Woody Marks is, re-aggravates his injury this week or something. All of a sudden, that's 100% available in dynasty leagues, and goes into your starting lineup. You're not like, I can add him to the bench. It's like, must start.
Yeah, it's players like this that are 3rd or 4th on the depth chart, or were practice squad. Like Jordan just was reverted back to the practice squad on Monday, and they'll do some more transactions throughout the week. But it is players like that. If you have a deep dynasty bench, then you can take shots on those types of players at this point in the season, just hoping for chaos. Malik Davis, another one for the Cowboys that I have in a league that I forgot was on my team. And now it's like, I might flex this guy. I really might. Like, even this past week, like, he got in the end zone. He's looked good. I know on Thanksgiving he had that long touchdown, but on just a couple of touches, you're like, oh, this guy's got some juice.
Javonte, though, I was surprised he came back into the game. We'll see what happens on the injury report. But yeah, I mean, if for some reason the shoulder/neck issue he dealt with, that is fantasy football is incredible. Malik Davis, Jordan could be the guys needed. Who was the do you guys remember the running back for the Saints? Like, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. That he was like
Timmy Hightower.
Yes, Tim Hightower.
I will never forget that one because that's my dude. Because when was that Kamara that got injured? I don't remember. So. Probably. When he went down, everyone thought it was a different player, and that was one of my most bullish. Like, I'm like, it is absolutely Hightower. Pick him up and start him. I did. I won a championship with him, and yeah, that was great. Or Mike and I in our Dino Jr. We picked up a guy in the playoffs in Dynasty off of waivers, Jarrett Patterson, and put him in our starting lineup and won a championship that year. Like, these wild, insane things that happen at the end of the NFL season that coincides. It's just, I guess that's why you're hopefully listening and getting good advice.
What's funny is I know the other side of that story too, where I picked up players like, sweet, this is the backup. I have this guy. I'm starting Mike Boone in my championship. I don't know if you remember this a couple years ago for the Vikings, and he scored a point. Like,
I do not remember.
It was that bad. And it was because of that, because then on the other side of the equation, you go, I'm such an idiot. Why would I start this guy who's barely in the league? But then when it works out, it's like, man.
Oh, when it works out, it's a forever flex.
Tim Hightower.
There's a reason I have not forgot Timmy Hightower's name.
Yeah. Sorry for everybody that I totally was wrong on the timeline here. I said like 5 years ago. Time flies. That was 2015.
Yeah.
Week 14, he was the RB8. Week 15.
First year of the podcast.
Okay. RB25. Week 16, the RB1, and then week 17, the RB5 overall. What a run.
Yes.
Who could forget?
Oh, man, he was so good.
On this episode, we will answer some listener questions. I got a lot of questions that came in about Trevor Lawrence. So we'll talk about Trevor Lawrence, talk about some different league settings and questions that people have during the playoffs. What do you do at this point in the season? So lots of good stuff. But first, let's rewind the film.
Weekly Rewind.
We have an interesting group of players that we're going to review this week. They are not the sexiest names that we could have picked. But all three of these players I think will be interesting for Dynasty. I just want to get mine out of the way because there's not a lot of film on Gunnar Helm. He's the rookie tight end for the Titans, 4th round pick. And he fell in the draft, if you remember, because, well, his combine didn't go according to plan. He was injured, and then he ran that 40 that took him years and years to run. So this past week, he had a touchdown. It was actually a big boy touchdown down the field. And since the Titans' Week 10 bye, he leads the team in receptions, and he's been targeted on 29% of his routes. I was telling Betz this earlier. The only tight end in all of football, so not just like rookie tight ends, but in all of football, who has been targeted more per route recently in the last 5 weeks is Harold Fannin. So it's Gunnar Helm, Harold Fannin. He's kind of more...
Sounds like someone's not running a lot of routes to have that be true.
He leads the team in receptions, too.
Yeah, I'm mad at Gunnar Helm because he had 4 receptions, 6 receptions, 6 receptions, and then on Prize Picks, that was the week I was like, 2.5 receptions. That's easy. And then he gets 1 catch. And then right back this next week, 4 catches. Come on. Do it when it matters.
Yeah, the film's not too great. Like, one of his receptions, the last play of the game, it didn't really matter. But 6'5", 241, and Chig is going to be a free agent. So I think this is a next year, let's see what he is. And the best comp I can give is almost the exact size is Jake Ferguson, who did nothing as a rookie. I mean, basically nothing. And then kind of morphed into this top 10 tight end the next year. Just put the name on the radar as somebody he could ascend in the next year. So
Yeah, makes sense.
Dude, Gunnar Helm.
I went.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Gunnar Helm led Texas in receptions last year, and that was a roster with Matthew Golden, Jaden Blue, Isaiah Bond, other NFL players. Like, I don't know, maybe he's good. So yeah, just keep him on the radar for next year.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. We've talked about him on the main show a couple times in the last month or so. I think Andy's pretty bullish from what he's seen of a brighter future.
I think it's because he's on Andy's Dynasty roster.
Yeah, maybe. That's the chicken or the egg. Is he on his roster because he believes in him, or is he on his roster and so he says he believes in him? I went and I watched my guy Tyler Shough, and look, I'm liking what I see. I think he is playing his way into becoming the starting quarterback for the Saints. A couple weeks ago, it seemed like he was just their starter rest of the season. They're going to have a high draft pick. They're going to need a quarterback for the future. And it seems now like that might not happen. The fact that he went out there with that final drive, got them down in field goal range, won the game, that basically takes him out of the top 5 picks. If he gets another win this season, which right now he's 3-3 as a starter, and he is, one Chris Olave touchdown away from being 4-2 as a starter, where he threw it right between his hands. He's going to be the starter for the foreseeable future, and I think for fantasy purposes, I like it. There was a lot of RPOs, some scrambles. He can use his athleticism and his legs more than just a pure mobile or just a pure pocket passer. So I think for fantasy purposes that he doesn't have hardly anyone to throw the ball to. He's throwing it to Vele and Olave and Juwan Johnson, and that's about it. So right now, fantasy value, I don't think it's super high rest of season. But when I look at, like, let's say he was on the Browns or the Jets, and the Browns or the Jets had the same amount of, the same draft pick that the Saints have, I would not be nearly as bullish, because I do think that the Saints are a well-run organization. They have good leadership at the top. They have a good fan base. They are a winning program historically, and that matters to me in dynasty contexts. Like, I do factor in what franchise you're playing for, depending on your position, when I look at long-term value. I think they'll be able to build around him and help him succeed in the future for fantasy. So right now, he is, I believe, undervalued in most dynasty leagues. And going into this offseason, they will still have a high enough pick where there will still be rumors, and it will not be a sure guaranteed. I don't think they're going to come out, because it doesn't behoove them to do so, to come out and absolutely declare what they're going to do with that pick, or, say that Tyler Shough is our starting quarterback for sure. Why? Why do that? Maybe he won't be. Maybe it gives you ammunition to trade back during the draft. Therefore, there will be a lot of speculation about whether he will be their starting quarterback or not. And I think in the offseason, you could probably scoop him up super cheap from someone who thinks he's not even going to have a job.
Yeah, right now they have the 7th overall pick. And yeah, it doesn't benefit them to say anything. Now, you're going to have coaches, you're going to have media that ask, is Tyler Shough your quarterback this next year? But they are in a good position to take some type of offensive skill position player in that kind of top 10 if people are trading up to get quarterbacks. So it's a winnable division. Let me just tell you that. Like, it's a division where anybody could beat anyone. And you've seen that the last, month? That, like, any combination can beat any team in the NFC South?
Yeah, for sure. I specifically watching the film, this is the film review. There was some plays where I felt like he, kind of threw it behind a player, but that happens to everyone. There was one play where I felt like oh my gosh, guys. I've got Chris Olave. I had him in both of our main leagues. I'm out in one of those, but in the league of record, I've got Olave. He was wide open for a 60-yard touchdown. Instead, Tyler Shough threw like a 30-yard laser beam to a different player, and it was still a good, really positive play, but he missed it. But then there were other plays. He's in total control of the offense. He really is running this like a veteran, which he should. He's 26 years old despite being a rookie. I remember Chris Olave's touchdown that he got in this game. J.C. Horn was playing to like the inside. He was not going to let Olave go inside. Olave kind of gives a little stutter step and then tries to go inside. Horn takes it away. I mean, it was just perfect coverage. And Tyler Shough put the ball with a laser beam right into Olave's hands, right past the out. I mean, it was just you couldn't have that play score a touchdown unless it was that exact pass. And he did it. So there are things that I really like seeing on film.
I agree with that. I like, I kind of like what the Saints are doing in general. Like, I remember the conversation this past offseason. It was like, oh, Kellen Moore, you really want to take that job? Are you sure? You know, the cap situation is always a mess, all those things. But like, and who knows if Tyler Shough can be the answer? We don't really know. But like, at least for this stretch of the season, he showed well. And I agree with Jason. I think he's going to get a chance to carry it over into next year. Like, you hit on a second-round rookie quarterback, at least for giving you an option to start. And putting context around this, like, they've had offensive line injuries all season. Devon Bailey, no disrespect to Devon Bailey, is their wide receiver too. It's like, he's kind of doing it with, you know, Olave is obviously great, but like a ragtag crew around him and a couple backups in the offensive line. What if they give him another weapon, invest highly in the offensive line again? Like, I could see a world where it works. So, and the defense has played very well too.
This next week, the wide receiver 2 for the New Orleans Saints. You guys know who it is?
Is it Mason Tipton?
I mean, you can argue, sure, but I'm going to go with Dante Pettis, who we were like, wait, he's in the NFL? He's still playing football? So, yeah.
Incredible. All right, well, let's keep this train going of just the hottest names in fantasy football that we've all predicted could be the dudes you needed down the stretch. Colby Parkinson is him, apparently. He's the tight end 6 in fantasy.
He was paid like him.
He was, yeah. Not this past offseason, but the one prior, 2 years ago. He was paid pretty handsomely, and we all kind of thought like, oh, he could be the guy. And it didn't really work out that first year in Los Angeles, but you're seeing him used over the last, 5-6 weeks, especially with Tyler Higbee, who's been out. We'll see if he comes back soon, as like a legit weapon in the offense, especially in the red zone, which has been so encouraging. So I was going back and watching the last 3 games. They're using him on a bunch of stuff that's designed for him, which at the tight end position is kind of rare. Like, they're getting him on some screens. They'll run play action boot with Stafford, and the first read is Parkinson off that play. Like, getting him designed on stuff and then also having him available in the red zone for looks. When you're looking at like anybody not named Trey McBride or those top 3 or 4 options, like that's what you need in fantasy to be successful, is the opportunity to score touchdowns. With Stafford the way he's playing, with Parkinson the way he's playing, and now you add in Devontae Adams, who's likely to miss this week's game. I think you could argue, based off where the team is headed for the playoffs, we'll miss next week's game. Could Colby Parkinson be a league winner down the stretch here at tight end? I think it's certainly possible. So if you've got him, you've got to be very encouraged. I don't know what this means moving forward as far as next year, because they invested in Terrence Ferguson, rookie out of Oregon, so we'll see what that does. But Colby Parkinson was paid a couple years ago, and he is definitely proving to be a valuable piece of this offense for the next, several weeks at least.
You've seen how teams like the Rams have morphed into 12 or 13 personnel all over the place, where it's like, hey, we're going to throw multiple tight ends out there. And inside the 20, he's been targeted more frequently inside the 20 than even Devontae Adams. 55% of his routes. 55! He's been targeted inside the 20. That's number 1 in the NFL of all players. Not just tight ends. Not just Rams tight ends. All players in the NFL. So it is interesting. It's also interesting when we see teams that draft tight ends like Ferguson in the second round, and then they have other dudes here. Like, I'm curious about that trend over the next couple years. Do teams go like how the Seahawks and Rams have done? It's like, hey, we're going to throw out multiple tight ends. And it's worked really well. And there's been lots of discussion. I know Greg Olson has talked about that all year long, about how teams have been successful in 12 personnel and how it confuses the defenses. So should be interesting. Colby Parkinson, I'm assuming, was just somebody on your bench that you didn't think about. So
probably on waivers.
Yeah.
You were talking about, Kyle, before the show. We were talking about the situation with Tyler Warren, and you have a decision in one of your leagues between Tyler Warren and Colby Parkinson. So, I mean, I'm guessing it's too early in the week for you to know what you're going to do, but that's what you're deciding.
What would you guys do? We're not playing against each other in this league.
I would genuinely play Parkinson, but I also think that there might be other tight ends. This isn't a dynasty league, right?
No, this is pre-draft.
Yeah, I think there's probably other tight ends that might still be on the waivers that I would also include for this week that I would, again, I don't know if Juwan Johnson is out there, but that would be the guy I would play. If Vele is out, against the Jets, I think he'll do work.
All I'm going to say, Kyle, is look up the schedule adjusted metrics for the Seahawks against the tight end position. Then you might want to start Colby Parkinson. That's all I'm going to
say. I know the numbers. I like playing with my heart. My heart has brought me this far with Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren had 6 targets last week, so that's pretty good. I mean, he got 19 yards from Old Man Rivers.
In all seriousness, I do think the Colts offense will have success this week, which is scary to say.
Look, I just love hearing. I need to hear that.
Oh, I'll keep going.
As Jonathan Taylor manager.
They were on the road in Seattle, cold, wet, windy. They're back home this week in the Dome.
Oh, yeah.
49ers just got destroyed by Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears and Cam Ward. So many defensive injuries for San Francisco.
They're not going to be able to rush.
Taylor. Oh, Johnny Taylor.
They can't rush the pass. We already know that about the 49ers. So think about Phillip Rivers in a clean pocket. You know what I'm saying? Just dealing.
He'll have time to throw it 12 yards down the field.
That's Tyler Warren territory.
Yeah.
There's a lot to think about. I'm going to rethink this about 38 times. All right, let's take a break and we'll be right back. Before we jump into these questions, like how much is like regret a part of your decisions this week, Jason?
Not much. You're saying like what I would regret if it goes wrong. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
No,
if I did this, I would regret playing this play. Like I have Drake May in a league. He's brought me so far. I also have Jacoby Brissett on that team.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, I don't really usually do that. I know some people do, and they second guess. I won't second guess
after. I will say this is my decision, and I'll deal with it. I'm not going to say.
But you're saying prior, while making the decision, you have the mental argument of which one would I regret more.
Yes.
But then you're saying after I make the decision, I won't have any regrets.
Because
so it sounds like you should not be worried about your regrets. You don't have any. You won't have any. So don't even factor that into the conversation. Right? You should not be thinking about what you'll regret if you are the type that has no regrets.
I will blame myself ahead of time. I will not blame anyone else but myself after. It's a weird complex I think I have. All right, well, I'll get some advice from you guys soon.
Mailbag.
It's just it comes down to this, guys. I've come this far. Feel like I've, found my edges in my league. Feel like Mike and I's team is just running all cylinders. We're great.
The guys that got you there are either still doing what they were doing or they aren't. And I would care much more about what they're doing than what they did.
I mean, you're a Falcons fan. You know Atlanta, traveling west out to Arizona. Are they going to show up defensively?
No.
There you go.
No. Yeah.
King Jacoby.
That's good advice. It's good advice there.
You wouldn't play Jacoby over Drake May, though.
That's it.
But maybe you would.
Who feels safer to you, Justin or Jason?
Safer would be Jacoby. He's been top 12 every single week. Atlanta at home. Jacoby is safer. So if you're like a huge favorite and you've got a lot of firepower elsewhere, then you can make the argument of in that situation, I would start Jacoby over Drake May. But Drake May has been otherworldly. He is who goes out and wins a championship for someone. I mean, I would personally, if you're in a matchup against another really tough opponent and you got to put up the most fantasy points you can, I think I would go Drake May unless there's weather issues next week in Baltimore, which could very well be the case. I haven't looked into weather next week.
Look at Kyle, stressed out of his mind. I love it.
Yeah.
It's the season, man.
First question is about Trevor Lawrence. We really got 3 or 4 different ones. One was just from Dynasty Dog, just asked, is Trevor Lawrence good? But this other question from Sean, I think, is the bigger question. He's looked a lot better recently. Do you expect that with the offensive system improvements and the weapons they've got, that he will continue to level up going forward? And I think this question for us in Dynasty is not just what is he going to do the rest of the season, but what is Trevor Lawrence next year? Okay, so he's the QB8 right now. It's been a really, really good stretch against some not great opponents. Like some of these are the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Titans, the Jets this past week. Like those were some of the big games that he had, and you can't take away.
And some of the absolute worst defenses. Yes. I mean, I just want to make sure if people weren't following the teams you said, his big games, the Raiders, bad defense, the Cardinals, bad defense, the Titans, bad defense, and the Jets, bad defense. Those are 4 of his best last 6 games. So, yeah.
Is it possible to thread a needle here in the conversation that he has leveled up in some way, and yet there are also ways to describe his performance as, yeah, these are the good games that quarterbacks can have. Like, it doesn't have to be he's either leveled up or not, or he will always be good or always be bad moving forward. It's like quarterbacks have games like this throughout the season. Bo Nix had a game earlier this year, remember, that fourth quarter where he just went bonkers. Kirk Cousins just had a game against the Buccaneers, which if he plays the Buccaneers, he's good. It's bad against everybody else. But it's the timing, I think, is what is really important in this Trevor Lawrence discussion of this team has been really, really good. They're about to play the Broncos for some meaningful AFC playoff seeding. If this game happened in week 2 and his bad games happen right now, I think we'd have a different conversation. So,
yeah, for sure. To answer the question, I think that Trevor Lawrence, I want to give him a lot of credit for how excellent the Jaguars are playing recently. He is, I mean, this last week was a master class in quarterback. Sometimes people are just on fire, and he was. Everything was perfect. But I also think he is who we know he is. I don't often see someone go into year 6 and level up. I know he's young. He's still only 26. He's, the same age as rookie Tyler Shough. But he has played years of NFL football as the franchise quarterback, not like, he's just now getting his shot. He came in as the number 1 pick. He's played a lot of games, and I believe that he is I've said this many times, he is an above-average quarterback with inconsistency who is not a great quarterback. So therefore, when he plays good matchups, he should be able to go out there and do some good stuff. When he's in difficult matchups, I think he can get riled and throw picks and look bad. This is not, he's the quarterback 8 right now in the season. His sophomore year, he finished the season as the quarterback 8. That's definitely in the range. I think he could end up being maybe even top 5 this season. You look at the last 3 games, tough matchup this week against Denver. Let's say he's just average. He's the quarterback 13, doesn't crush you, doesn't win a championship for you or whatever. Scores, just his average points. Then you've got Indianapolis Colts in a dome, and then at home against Tennessee to finish the season. He could end up with a really good-looking season. There's so much excitement about the future going into year 2 of a system, getting Travis Hunter back and whatever other pieces they add. At that point, if people are back on fire for Trevor Lawrence, which I think will happen if he finishes this year strong and looks good, going into the next year, I will trade him high. I'll trade high because I really do feel confident that we know who he is, and he's not a bad quarterback, but he's not going to level up and become a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes type of guy. And I think in some leagues, people have enough hope in the name and in the potential and the direction that they might view him and value him there. And then if I can get that value, I'll definitely capitalize.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I agree with a lot of that. Basically, for me, it comes down to like answering these questions like, is he good? Is this real? How much of this is sticky moving forward? I think a couple things can be true. Like you said, he is not a top-tier NFL quarterback himself, but can he run a much improved scheme with Liam Cohen, who I think is a really good play caller, understands to play to his players' strengths? Can he do all that in the system and have really good fantasy games, not just this year, obviously, but moving forward? Yes. Does that mean he's a top 5 quarterback? No. For me, like, I feel like he's probably going to be, for the next year or 2, depending on what, like you said, what happens with the weapons and Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter and all those things. I don't know, the quarterback 8 to like 14, any of that wouldn't surprise me. So he is pretty valuable, I think, in Superflex formats for that, potential. But like Jason said, if anybody thinks that this recent 6-week stretch is kind of just what the norm is for Trevor Lawrence. I'm a little hesitant to buy into that just because, like you said, we've seen him play a ton of football in the league, and it's been largely very inconsistent.
You have seen more throws down the field. Like, I will say, since the bye, so that they had the week 8 bye, and then they've won, 6 in a row, 7 to last 8. Like, they've been really, really good. He's been throwing in that intermediate area of the field 45% of his throws. That's way up from where he was before. And we all know that, like, when you can run the ball, and he have 5 or 6 rushing touchdowns, when you can add that in, it's going to always give you this baseline. The question is, as a thrower of the football, I don't think he'll ever be a top 15 quarterback. Like, if you look at this season and you compare it to all the rest of the years in a lot of just simple metrics like completion percentage, quarterback or passer rating, he's pretty much still the same. The biggest difference this year is his touchdown rate is now at 5% because over the last month, he has 10 red zone passing touchdowns. I mean, that was Travis Etienne this past weekend. It's like you get 3 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah. 3 receptions, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. And so we look at that and go, that can happen year to year where your red zone touchdowns or your touchdown rate spike. And I think it's because of Liam Coleman. And I think that Lawrence has the tools moving forward. But I look at some of the other dynasty quarterbacks in that range. You mentioned it, Betz, QB 8 to 14. Would you guys rather have Trevor Lawrence or Brock Purdy in dynasty?
Purdy.
Yeah, I'll go Purdy.
I think you could argue that Lawrence could finish higher on a season. I think it's possible he could have an outlier season, but I think I'd rather have Purdy. Would you rather?
Well, and Trevor Lawrence will have so much more value on average than Brock Purdy.
Yes.
The fact that you're talking about the guy, and it's funny because it's irrelevant now, but when one guy was drafted number 1, the first pick in an NFL draft, and one guy was drafted the final pick in an NFL draft, that will carry over with how you perceive them forever.
CJ Stroud or Trevor Lawrence, 2 guys that will be in the same division battling it out.
I'd rather have T-Law. Give me the rushing upside.
Yeah, I think that's a coin flip. I agree. Maybe the rushing flips it, but that's super close.
All right, so in fantasy, I think I lean Lawrence. I think in the NFL, I lean Stroud, like as an NFL quarterback.
Oh, yeah. In the NFL, yeah, I'm just talking fantasy.
Yeah.
Here. If I was a general manager and I was drafting one of those guys or signing one of those guys, yeah, I would go Stroud.
Okay, one more name here. Would you rather have Baker Mayfield or Trevor Lawrence in Dynasty? I know, like, think about how different their seasons are based on the last 6 weeks. All right, the sentiment around the Bucs has been, what happened after the bye? The Jaguars, exact opposite. Since the bye, they've been awesome. Same state, basically.
That's really, really, that's a great name to throw out there. I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence because I think they're not necessarily too far apart. Obviously, we know Baker's ceiling is enormously high, as he showed last year. He was like the quarterback 3. But Mike Evans is going to be older. And really, this is an age thing for me. Since they're not that far apart, give me 4 years of, youth in Trevor Lawrence at 26 versus Baker, who's 30.
Agreed.
Yep, I'll take T-Law there as well. All right, next question's from Alex. What are your thoughts on determining the pick order using reverse max points four rather than final standings? I feel like this would be more indicative of true total roster strength.
This is a wonderful. We do this in all of our dynasty leagues. That I am in is we use max points 4 rather
Except
than
for one
standings.
of them.
Which one?
Dino Jr.
Dino Jr. Right?
No, we did change that.
Oh,
But Matt, the Falcon, sent me a screenshot of the conversation we had last offseason. So it is max points 4. So what if you're not familiar with what this is basically some of the platforms, I know Sleeper will track what your max points for. Basically, if you were playing best ball, if you made the correct lineup decisions every single week, what could you have scored? And what that does is it shows you how good is your roster, how really good. And what it also helps avoid is there's no benefit to teams that are trying to lose, like the teams that towards the end of the year, the second half of the year, the last weeks before the playoffs, they're trying to hurt their record and they're making bad start-sit decisions, which then impacts other teams and gives other teams wins when maybe they wouldn't have had it, which impacts, it's just a nightmare. So when you go max points 4, not only is it a more accurate representation of who's got the best roster, who has the best roster, who's got the worst roster, who could have scored the fewest points in the league if they made every decision properly. And so it's accurate there, but then it also gets rid of the whole, like, I can't feel like I could start my best roster. No, every team in the league, even those who are hoping for a better pick, set your best lineup. Try to win, because it's not just based on record. It's based on how good is your roster. And I think that is fair. I think it makes competitive fairness. So basically what happens is what we do, if you're not in the playoffs, so the bottom 6, that's determined by max points 4. You can do it one of two ways. You can do it that and then do the playoff finishers the next rest of the way. Or I know what we do in like our league of record is basically we take every team and go by standings or max points 4, except the teams in the title game. The teams in the title game will be 11 and 12.
I think it's the most fair, and it's cut out so many other discussions we had 5 years ago. And it also sucks because I've scored 6 fewer points than Betz in one of our leagues, but the way that it would work in max points 4 is he would now get the second pick and I would not.
I love this rule. Huge fan of this rule. This is the way it should be forever and always.
I have no memory of voting on this.
Oh, we didn't. No, we really didn't.
And so
I universally declared it.
This is a dictatorship, Kyle.
Yeah, some leagues are complete vote on everything. We talked about it, and I said, yeah, we're going to put this in next year. I declare it. So we've got the screenshots from last year. You can bring it up to a vote if you want, and I will override it because it's just the right thing for the league. So find a different league if you don't want to play in a good one.
I just had so much hope.
You're like, I don't remember a vote. Yeah, no, we did, and I am pro votes in leagues.
This guy
but
says,
also I am totally fine with leagues that are like, look, this is how this league is. If you want to be in this one, and that's totally fine.
Amen. I love it.
Publicly, he's fine with democracy. Behind the scenes, this is a dictatorship.
Well, it's just a matter of who's the king. If I'm the king, then I'm totally cool with it. If I'm not the king, democracy, baby.
I'm actually fine with it. I have 2 top 5 picks. I'll be okay. Betz will screw up whatever pick that is. He'll fall in love with some player. It won't matter. It's totally fine. Speaking of first-round picks, this is a great, simple question from Jake. Are first-round picks overrated or underrated?
Yes.
Depends on your league.
I did want to answer that way. Betz, what do you think?
It depends on your league. If your league is super like rookie hungry every year and they love the rookie class, they're the best they've ever seen every spring, they're probably overrated. If your league loves to just throw away picks left and right to go all in on super old players, they're probably a little underrated. So it just depends on your league. I think in general, I would say they're generally overrated. Just like a blanket statement. Now, of course, each class is better or worse than the one before or after, so that depends, and you have to understand where the strengths of the class are and all those things. But in general, when you sit there and you're like, I got the 108. I mean, this could be the next thing. Oftentimes, the hit rate in the first round is like, what, 50%? If we're thinking like Dynasty, who actually matters the year after?
Yeah, the back half of the first round is probably 50%.
So I would say in general, they have a lot of value for the perceived upside that they could be, which those guys hit sometimes, don't get me wrong. But I would say in general, if I had to pick one, I would say overrated.
Yeah, it's a kind of a cop-out, but it's really the true answer is, for me, what I believe the truth is that the early first-round picks are very, very, very highly rated. They are valued high, and they are worth that. They usually are worth that. The back half first-round picks are probably overvalued, and if I could trade them for a known good veteran asset who scores a lot of fantasy points, but he's not Jamar Chase, and you can grab a win, then I would do that. It also comes down to the time of year, man. There are times when it's draft season, the price of those picks goes up. And then middle of the year, it's like, whatever, it's just a draft pick. I need a guy now.
I went through the exercise a couple years ago of just looking at every single rookie draft, what we felt at the time of the draft, where certain players jumped ahead. I wrote an article years ago, breakouts and busts, but I found that it is contextual to each class. So if there's a lot of wide receivers, then those mid first round picks can be valuable because you get a Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr. There's also the Keon Coleman's right in the middle of those picks that at the time you're like, well, this is a good player. Josh Allen's number one. But the other thing that I found is that every single year, no matter what, running backs will get boosted in the back of the first round because everybody needs them. No matter what, I've done it. Keyshawn Vaughn, that one year I was like, God, I need a running back. He's going to be their starter. Back of the first round, let me go for this. When it's like you're taking shots.
I grabbed him early second round in a league. Oh, that was a mistake. Who was the one? My worst one ever.
Trey Sermon.
There it is. Trey Sermon pushed up to the back of the first round. Needed that running back. Hoofda.
Yeah, it's going to happen. So in that sense, I think the general answer is overrated. However, when you have them and you hit, best feeling in the world. I have this player forever. I have JSN in the main Ballers Dynasty forever. I will never trade that player because he's awesome and it feels good.
Yeah.
But David,
I remember before we had max points 4 to bring both of these last questions into it. Before we had max points 4 in our main Dynasty league, Jeremy had to make a start-sit decision going against his opponent to decide who got the 101 or 102, and he was a man of integrity, and he won that game, and I got Bijan Robinson, and he didn't. What a loser. Although now, years later, that number 2 pick was JSN. So the integrity brought JSN to glory.
What I love, Jason, you respect integrity. You do. But also, the part of this story, which also seems to carry over from this other thing, is, but if you are in charge and you get to make the picks.
Absolutely. That is my integrity. So I'm very, very true to thyself.
All right, let me ask this question, David, a follow-up. Betz, we did the kind of way too early look at this next year's class. And David asked, would you trade a late 2026 first for a 2027 first that is projected to be a front half pick? So knowing what we know way too early about 2026 class, don't ask me any questions about 2027 other than Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. Would you make this deal?
It's tough because you think you can project who's going to be bad in your league in 2027, but wild stuff happens every year. So if you feel super confident it's going to be, a top 3 or 4 pick, I probably would do that. I think the general consensus is the next, not this coming class, but the one after is going to be a lot stronger, especially at quarterback. So if this is super flex, I absolutely would do that. But regardless, I think I probably would. We talked about the class in general, 3 episodes ago? And I think our big takeaway was like, seems all right. Nothing, there's no like home run picks beyond maybe Jeremiah Love. That's kind of what we came away with it. So I personally would do this if it's a 109 to 112 this year for a projected top 4 pick the year after. But again, weird stuff happens. You can project all you want, but injuries happen and the standings in your league might look a lot different than what you think they will.
Yeah, I think if you want to punt it down the road and you have the roster to do it, go for it, but things will change a lot. Let's take a quick break.
Before we take a break,
before we break, though.
Yeah, before we break, I would like to answer this question because I would not do it.
Oh.
I would not trade 2 years from now. There's 2 different things. One, and you did say this, you're like, teams change so quick. You have no idea if in 2027, the team that is so bad right now is going to be bad. 2 years from now, you might just be trading a mid or back round first round pick for a later year mid back first round pick. Like what? So that would be a net loss. And 2, you're also discounting an entire year of real value. Like whatever it is, later or earlier, you get a player on your roster for an extra year. Imagine that they were the same exact pick in 2026, and you knew that one of those players just tore his ACL and won't play that year. That's a huge difference of value. And so you get a year out of a player that has the potential to be impacting your roster. Now, if this was when I'm looking at these trades, because these trades do happen, they've got to be around later. It's the only way to guarantee, if I'm trading a second for a first for a future year, then I will do that.
I think you can. Well, if this is an offer that he has in front of him right now, and he knows it's the 109, 110, like he knows for certain it's the 109, 110.
Right, he'll know his pick.
Then I get what you're saying. You could hit on a player and they gain value, and now you actually have something that is worth more than a 2027 first. It's all about you're making this trade because I think this class is not great. That's fine. There will be players at the 109 that you could potentially hit on. A wide receiver so your team makeup matters too, but every year people want to punt for classes that are 2 or 3 years down the road, and just so much can change. So I can see both sides to it.
Yeah, I'll say this year's rookie wide receiver class was really, really bad. That was the perception. Just a terrible rookie wide receiver. This was the running back year. Awful wide receivers. Tet looks like a hit. Ibuka looks like a hit. Travis Hunter was breaking out, obviously got injured. It's not. Luther Burden is kind of breaking out right now. It's like, okay, was it really that? Was it really that bad?
But Tet was going to be taking the top 3 picks. Ibuka was going to end up being 107. And then I guess Burden was end of first, beginning of second. There's also some landmines in there.
Well, there are every year.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You could share both sides of it. I think I hear what you're saying, Jason, though, of you could have something that actually gains value rather than punting it down the road. So we will actually take a break here, and then we'll come back. All right, this one's from James on the website. He said, "Hey guys, I just got eliminated in the first round of both my leagues, and my favorite team, the Bengals, is also eliminated from the playoffs. Where do I go from here?" What does he do? What does he do with his life?
Silence.
What does he have to look forward to?
James, this is what you do. Assume you're a Foot Clan member. Come to the DFS Pass with Kyle and I. This is the best time of year. If you're out in your leagues, redraft, dynasty, we do DFS through the playoffs. So if you're hoping to root for some more things, play some more fantasy football, that's where you go.
Maybe win some shmoney.
Yeah, there you go. A little Christmas cash.
That is great advice. Listen to the DFS pod with your boys over there. Also, I would say that when you are eliminated from your playoffs in fantasy and your team sucks, then just enjoy NFL football. It's kind of liberating sometimes to be able to watch a game and not have your emotions on the outcome. Just enjoying football. Just kick back, put your feet up, maybe have something in it with your DFS boys, and then just enjoy. Just relax.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed watching the Patriots-Bills this past week with most of my teams on bye. I'm just I like watching football. What a great game. Also, they were up 21-0, and here comes Josh Allen, 5 or 6 straight drives. I'm telling you, just appreciating that. But also, I think moving forward, you get to the, what I like about what we do is that there's these different cycles of the year. So as we get to the end of December, the calendar turns, and we get to January, man, there is an entirely new group of players that I do not know their full stories. I don't know how they're going to fit in the NFL. So yeah, for us, the Dynasty podcast, I feel like we get to pick up steam as the season goes down from January, February. We do all of our prospect, profiles.
That's what I care the most about this show.
Yeah, no, you've been here though. You've been doing your work though. You're live.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because this time of year for the DFS, for the Dynasty podcast, the one we're doing right now that you're listening to, it's borderline redraft. It's like this is playoffs. The only thing that matters is going to get in your championship right now, and then in just a short month from now, everything will be the beautiful future rookie saga.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Next question is about Ashton Jeanty from Harrison in Vermont. So was this one of your people you know, Betz? One of your former friends?
Obviously. What's up, Harrison? Miss you, buddy.
How many people?
No more current ones.
How many people live in Vermont?
12.
Oh, dozens.
12, Kyle. Total. The entire state.
Oh, just 1 dozen?
Just 1 dozen.
Okay. Maybe I heard dozen and I thought that meant at least bakers.
I feel pretty good with geography, pretty good with numbers. I'm going to say out of the 50 states, it's got to be like 48? 47?
Total population?
Yes.
Probably.
Well, Alaska's going to be maybe last.
Rhode Island's going to be pretty small.
Rhode Island is very small.
Look it up, Betz.
I can't imagine.
I'm going
Maine
48.
is much larger, but Hawaii. I'm gonna
Delaware. You've been.
I'm gonna say
Delaware
45. But no, because then there's like
here we go.
Montana, Wyoming. They're sparse.
All right, break in.
I'm gonna go 44.
According to this website I'm on, which the internet never lies, 648,000 people live in Vermont.
What? That's it?
That's it?
I mean, that's like
a lot.
What lives in my city. All right, so where's that rank? State population rankings.
Please hold.
You're taking way too long.
Yeah, there's got to be
49.
49. Okay.
Out of 50. This one only did the, contiguous states. Dead last, Wyoming.
Okay. There you go.
Number 1, California.
Where's Alaska?
Oh, wait.
Alaska's big.
48.
Okay.
More people in Alaska than Vermont. This is fascinating. What else you guys want to know?
So this is Harrison, Vermont. He says, what do I do with Ashton Jeanty? At this time of the season, I feel like Blake Corum is a better start. So he's talking about that from his start sit. But the bigger question is the Raiders moving forward. And what do you like? Since their week 8 bye, he's averaging 2.9 yards per carry. It's been very bad. And then this stat just made me so sad that he has 249 touches on the year. Okay. And he has 3 plays of 20 plus yards. So 249, 3 plays. Ashton Doolin, the other Ashton in the league, has 8 touches on the season. He has 4 plays of 20 plus yards.
Sounds like they need to throw the ball to Jeanty down the field. Yeah, I mean, this week, I would definitely look to be playing other players over Jeanty. The Raiders' offense and team has phoned it in. They are done. They're playing for picks. Geno Smith is either terrible or out, and Kenny Pickett is potentially worse. We saw that this last week, and I do think that this Raiders team and Jeanty can be fine in certain matchups. Championship week, should you get there. You got the Giants. That's going to be great. Jeanty's going to be just fine. But this week, you are on the road in Houston. The Raiders don't score a point. I mean, maybe they get a field goal. Like, that is how it feels. So Jeanty is a very tough play.
Dude, they had, 75 total yards this past week?
Is that right?
Less than 100.
That's great. I mean, they didn't score a point this last week. They didn't get their obligatory field goal, which I was playing against the Philly defense. So I was like, come on, just get a field goal. Break the shutout. Couldn't do it. Yeah, I mean, and Jeanty is involved, and he is talented. He has broken tackles. He does have juice, so he's not like a must bench. Don't hear what I'm not saying. He'll still get probably 15 opportunities to touch the ball. It is going to be tough sledding for him as the team, the other defense focuses on him, but he is definitely in the realm where there are plenty of players out there that you would make the decision to play over Ashton Jeanty. I mean, right now I've got Ashton Jeanty at running back 25 behind guys like Tyrone Tracy, Rico Dowdle, RJ Harvey, Aaron Jones Sr. So long-term wise, I'm not worried about Ashton Jeanty. I'm fine capitalizing on the name because he hasn't lost value. Like in Dynasty leagues, he's still going to be worth a haul. Maybe lost a little bit of
I think there's a little bit of perceived value, but not enough to like completely sustain him. What if they have the same offensive line coach and run game coordinator next year?
Man, I can't imagine that Pete Carroll is still around. This is a
because it's his
rebuilding.
Son. You know that, right?
Oh, I do. It's disgusting. He's fired everyone except his son, which is probably doing the worst job of everyone on that team. I mean, with how bad it's gone, I cannot imagine retaining Pete Carroll. Like that just seems. I'll take the L on this. I thought it was a good hire. I thought that this team wasn't that far away. They have good pieces. They've got, Max on defense. They had weapons. It should have gone better. And at this point, I think you got to look at the top of the coaching tree.
You guys remember week 1?
When they beat,
I literally don't.
They beat the Patriots in Foxborough.
Oh my gosh.
They sure did. I bet over 5.5 wins on this team. And after week 1, I was like, hey, Gino still got it. They're good. Maybe they could be a 6-7 win team.
Only need 5 more.
Goodness gracious, man. This team is a disaster.
This question's about Travis Etienne from Alex. What do you guys think about the outlook, or what do you think is the outlook for him this offseason? Will the Jaguars lock him up long term because of his incredible stretch run, or will he hit free agency? And is Breece Hall still number 1 over him in terms of free agent backs?
Yeah, he definitely is. I've got Etienne and Breece Hall on my main Dynasty league, and this stretch run has me salivating that he will re-sign with the Jaguars. I don't think there is a world where he changes teams and gets better for fantasy. This is a team that invested in him with a first-round pick. He's been teammates with Trevor Lawrence since college. Like, this is his best outlook. And if him and Breece hit the open market, I think teams that really want to commit to a running back will go after Breece, who is younger and I think more athletic than Travis Etienne. It doesn't have the same, type of history as Etienne. So, like, Breece, I expect to get the larger contract. So dreams are coming true because I hope that he is doing enough to get that contract with the Jags.
I think so too. I can see a 2-year deal, something like that. 2-3 year deal. He'll be 27 this offseason. And like you said, I mean, this is Trevor's guy, so I could see him going to bat for him, and he's performed well in the system. So why would they move on? Especially because, I mean, everybody was like scared of Baishal Tutin, and granted, got injured and whatever, but like Travis Etienne never gave this job up. So I do think they re-sign him, and I think that'll definitely keep his fantasy value afloat.
Well, and the best part is teams that go into the offseason having had success. And this is a team that right now is like, what's their record? Do you know it off the top of your head? That let's say they lose this week in Denver, really tough.
10-4 right now.
So they're 10-4. Let's say they lose in Denver, 10-5. They're going to beat the Phillip River-led Colts, and they're going to beat the Titans. So you're talking about a 12-win team that's going to go out there, host a playoff game, maybe win a playoff game. Very realistic that they could go out there and win a playoff game, all without Tutin. And the city, the town, the franchise, the ownership is going to be really excited about their future and this core, and they're not going to want to break it up. So I love what's happening right now from a dynasty perspective for Etienne, because even halfway through the year when Etienne was really doing, he was on a hot stretch earlier, I still felt like in a dynasty league I was thinking about maybe trying to trade him, because you said, Betz, he's only 27. And it's like, let's get up. We're pretty close. But yeah, if he got another 2-3 year contract with the Jags, I'd be stoked.
It's crazy the ebbs and flows for veteran running backs, because when they drafted Tutin, I know he was a day 3 back, it was still one of those things where they came out and said, we liked this guy. James Gladstone said, this is the type of player that I want. And so if you would have traded away Etienne out of like, he's just dead, he has competition, because Bigsby was still there too, right? It was like, who's the guy? You would have lost value. And now, just like over time, despite him being older, it's like you have 2 more years with this player. It's like so many times we write off players because of an age curve or where they should be. It's like Rico Dowdle. It's like, he's old, he's not going to have any value. There's players like that in Dynasty that have life. And for Etienne, he's just looked good on a per touch base. They've been really good at running the football, by the way. Like that's been the Liam Cohen magic sauce, is like they can run the football effectively. And because of that, Trevor Lawrence can win on play action and look really, really good. So I wonder though, when you look at this team, can he go out and get a bag somewhere else? A bigger bag? Etienne.
I doubt it. I mean, maybe he could get a few more dollars.
Has he jumped ahead of Kenneth Walker?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Kenneth Walker has fallen behind Travis Etienne. Like Kenneth Walker has really not done much to prove his free agent value out there. Yeah, I mean, they're in the same tier. I don't think a team would go out there. Travis Etienne, because he's a Jaguar, because he hasn't been in a major market, he can't do what some of the bad teams who will spend big money for a running back would do and give them a lot of workload, which is sell tickets. Their fan bases are not going to be super duper excited for Etienne to the point where you shell out, whereas Breece Hall will. If the Cleveland Browns, I want to throw them out there, but they obviously aren't. They got Judkins. But like, if a bad team goes out and just wants to sell tickets and sign a big name running back, that's Breece Hall. He's the big sexy name.
That sounds like something the Titans would do.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, The Chiefs tried to trade for him.
Yeah, they don't need to sell tickets though, man. They're good to go.
They do need to get a running game, though, because their running game has been Patrick Mahomes, and he's not going to be a running game next year. I was thinking about that when the multiple ligament information came out about him. I was like, they are going to invest in the running game. They're going to spend a first-round pick or go after Breece. I don't know. They didn't have much cap this year. I don't know what their situation is for next year, but they need to fix that.
For sure.
It's funny looking at where they're picking, and they're picking 12th right now.
Wow. You're not going to see that.
I know.
Last time they were that high, they took Mahomes.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. We will be back next week, hopefully joining you in the finals of your Dynasty Leagues. Make sure you check out everything on thefantasyfootballers.com, our start-sit tool, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Footballers Dynasty Podcast. If you want to take your Dynasty skills to the next level, check out thefantasyfootballers.com.